Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to this Friday, June 30th show. As you can see, I've gotten a haircut, so I was yelling at the barber. I just came from the barber and said, "You cut off too much," but please comment on how you like my haircut. So my name is Robert Press, reporter for the Bronx Chronicle, Parkchester Times, Co-op City News, and host of this show, Talking Politics. Here is my official press credentials from the city of New York. And let's get into the weather or the air quality. The air quality will be getting better over the weekend as it goes back to normal levels. And for the 4th of July holiday, it will be very clear on as far as weather. The weather, though, today and through next week will be in the 80s with the highest probability of showers on Sunday, while there are slight chances of rain on Saturday and Monday with a beautiful 4th of July. So enjoy the holiday, everybody. Yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 6-3 invalidating affirmative action admission programs at Harvard University and the University of North Carolina. The two cases, Students for Fair Admissions Incorporated, EFFA, versus the two colleges, the president of the Fellow of Harvard College, and SSFA versus the University of North Carolina. Now, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, in a statement released by the Justice Department, said the Supreme Court's decision undercuts efforts by universities across the country to create a diverse group of graduates prepared to lead in an increasing diverse nation. It will be significantly set back efforts to advance educational opportunities for all Americans, and it ends nearly 50 years of precedent. He added that the Department of Justice remains committed to promoting student diversity in higher education using all available legal tools. In the coming weeks, we will work with the Department of Education to provide resources to colleges and universities on what admission practices and programs remain lawful following the Supreme Court decision. You can see this comment plus comments by Mayor Eric Adams, Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, and more are coming in on my blog at www.100. Then we go into letters, percentbronx.blogspot.com. That's www.100. The number is 100, and then percentbronx.blogspot.com. In 2020, the voters of California, which is a very liberal state, 57% of those who voted cast their ballots against reinstituting affirmative action in California, as the state's public college for state's pardon me, let me get back to as the state's public college at the state public colleges and universities. Thursday's Supreme Court decision is likely to cause ripples throughout the country, and not just higher education, but in selected primary and secondary schools like Boston's Latin in Massachusetts, the Thomas Jefferson High School in Virginia, and even here in the Bronx at the Bronx High School of Science. We are going to be fighting about this for the next 30 years, said Harvard Law professor Randall Kennedy. And it seems that wasn't the only thing that the Supreme Court struck down. I'm going to read from New York City GOP Chair Ed Cox, who today released the following statement. The Supreme Court's decision to overturn President Bush's unconstitutional executive order for giving student loans, which has cost taxpayers over $5 billion and more than $200 billion in total, that's per month, $5 billion. Joe Biden's unconstitutional student debt plan would have cost taxpayers, according to estimates, between $400 billion and $1 trillion. Spending decisions of this type can only be approved by Congress, the GOP chair Ed Cox said. He also adds that the decision today rebukes Joe Biden's shocking disregard for a constitutional order and reaffirms the bedrock constitutional principle of our nation since its founding, namely that all spending must be approved by Congress and a president cannot unilaterally make consequential spending decisions. He can say we're going to war, but he can't spend money on that. Okay, next big item for congressional congestion pricing has won federal approval as Governor Hochul announced that the Federal Highway Administration has completed the environmental assessment of the state's nation-leading congestion pricing program, or Manhattan Central Business District's tolling. Following a 30-day public availability period of the final environmental assessment, the federal agency issued a finding of no significant impact to the environment. Governor Hochul said that congestion pricing will reduce traffic in our crowded downtown area, improve air quality, and provide critical resources to the MTA. The environment assessment was prepared by the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, an affiliate of the Metropolitan Transit Authority, the New York State Department of Transit, the New York City Department of Transportation, and in conjunction with the Federal Highway Administration, which found the program is expected to meet its objectives by reducing congestion and overall vehicle miles traveled with related regional air quality benefits, while providing financial support to capital upgrades to this MTA's public transportation system. Before a tolling rate structure can be set, though, the Traffic Mobility Review Board, the TMRB, which I'll refer to a little more later, a body required by the April 2019 state legislation, which established congestion pricing, will develop a established congestion pricing which recommends toll structure after considering factors such as traffic patterns. Traffic in mitigation measures, they will also discuss or look at operating costs, public impact, public safety, vehicle types, discounts, peak and off-peak rates, air quality, and emissions. The TMRB will provide a report explaining its recommendations, including the underlying review and analysis to the board of the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, with its coterminous with the MTA board. The TBTA will adopt and establish a tolling structure, which we don't know yet. So there are rumors that it will be up to $25 to enter the Central Business District. And if a toll structure is adopted on a timeline expected to be as early as May 2024, which gives contractors a contractually obligated 310 days to finish designing, developing, testing, and installing the tolling system and equipment. MTA Chair and CEO Jano Liba said, "Now the real work begins. The MTA board, in its capacity as the TBTA board, must adopt the tolling structure, and contractors needed to set up tolling equipment throughout the tolling area. The result will be reduced traffic congestion and the establishment of one of the funding pillars for the MTA's historic 2020-2024 capital program, a historic level of investment to make upgrades that will bring the network to a state of good repair, enhance accessibility, accelerate rate, climate resilience, and eliminate transit deserts." Mayor Eric Adams said congestion pricing has been given the green light and we're ready to get it done right away. This is about more than just reducing traffic. This will lead to more resources for the public transit, cleaner air, safer streets. Getting congestion pricing also means ensuring that historically disadvantaged communities are not further burdened, and we are pleased to see that the environmental assessment now includes $155 million in investments to reduce truck pollution, improve asthma care, and expand parks. We look forward to continued discussions with the MTA, our state partners, and the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority as congestion pricing implementation proceeds. Why, Mayor Adams, though, is where do you think, my question to Mayor Adams is, where do you think these drivers that will no longer go into the Central District because they're not going to pay this congestion tolling, where are they going to park? They are going to park in Upper Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens. Here in the Bronx, people from Westchester will be parking by the #1 train in the West Bronx on Broadway in that area, the number 4 train westbound on Jerome Avenue, the number 2 eastbound train that goes down White Plains Road, the number 5 train that goes down Dyer Avenue, and the number 6 train along Westchester Avenue. So we could expect here in the Bronx, once this congestion pricing goes into effect in May of 2024, that we will see more parked cars in our neighborhoods that are from Westchester County and above, or even Jersey, because they don't want to pay congestion pricing. And this will be a good area to park your car and take the subway. Next big item that I'm going to go before I go to a commercial, the City Council is voting today on the handshake agreement between Mayor Adams and City Council Speaker Adams, which is no relations to the mayor, of the $107 billion budget of New York City before the July 1st fiscal year begins. So we have one day before the next budget comes in. Last year's budget came in at $98.7 billion. So we are just under almost $10 billion in added costs this year. So let's see where the pork went. But in the budget findings, there was a restoration to some of Mayor Adams' cuts, but not all cuts were renewed. The cuts to Meals on Wheels program for seniors were restored, but the Department of Homeless Services cuts will be passed on to nonprofits and lower payments, which could lead to some layoffs. The Department of Corrections is also losing $17 million, again on contracts with nonprofits that provide services for such as classes for the people incarcerated, career services, reentry program in city jails. Mayor Adams said the Department of Correction can provide these services without contracting out for them. Also, with 50,000 asylum seekers and now 100,000 people in the city shelter system, the cost will be to the city about $4.3 billion, the mayor's office of budget management predicts. And there will be fiscal, in out years, there'll be gaps to the budget expect a $5.1 billion budget gap in fiscal year 2025, they say, $6.8 billion in fiscal year 2026, and $7.9 billion in fiscal year 2027, as the total budget reserves are at $8 billion. And right now, the City Council is discussing the FY24 budget, and will be voting later today, as some members are expected and have said that they will vote against the city budget for one reason or another. Check my blog again on the left side for Mayor Adams and Speaker Adams reach handshake agreement for more details on this budget. we're going to go to one more item here of note that a Brooklyn federal grand jury convicted New York City Public School Office of Food and Nutrition executives in a bribe plot that gave city public schools tainted chicken and yogurt. Details, again, can be found on my blog from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Finally, before I go to my break, New York State Attorney General Letitia James has sued the owners and operators of 4 nursing homes for financial fraud and resident negligence. The 4 nursing homes are owned, or I should say rehabilitation nursing homes, are owned and operated by the Centers for Care, LLC, doing business as Buffalo Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing in Erie County, Hollingswood Center for Rehabilitation and Healthcare in Queens County, the Martine Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing in Westchester County, and here in the Bronx at the Beth Abraham Center for Rehabilitation. The AG is suing that more than $83 million in Medicaid and Medicare funds were not used for patients, but families of the owners, family business associates, through an elaborate network of related companies and collusion, fraudulent transactions, rather than use the funds for their intended purpose of providing sufficient...
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely convince you.
Welcome back. The proposed cannabis store in Community Board 11 on Williamsbridge Road, that is right across the street from PS 89's playground, but 529 feet from the school entrance and around the corner, because there is a rule that a cannabis store must be more than 500 feet from the entrance to a school, much like the State Liquor Authority. They're using that as a basis. But, you know, the cannabis store on Williamsbridge Road is around the corner from the school. However, it also has to be 200 feet from a house of worship. And it seems that Community Board 11 member Cynthia Rodriguez has noticed that the congregation Monte de Sion is less than 200 feet away, at 143 feet away, she says, from the proposed cannabis store. In talking to the pastor of the church, there was a three-way conversation with the board member, myself, and the pastor. The church was opened in 2018. It has a tax-exempt status, and the pastor complained of an illegal smoke shop right next to his church. CB11 Rodriguez, member 11 Rodriguez, has given this information to the district manager of Community Board 11 to pass on to the Office of Cannabis Management. It appears that the State Liquor Authority did not have this church listed, and that is why the cannabis store was given the green light by OEM. Now, Assemblyman John Cicaro Jr. said he was going to also look into the matter as far as the cannabis store being right across the street from the school play yard, and that he wants to increase the distance that a cannabis store must be from a school or a house of worship. And let's give John Cicaro Jr., the Assemblyman, kudos for doing that, or trying to do that if he can. Now, let's go back. Let's look back at primary day results and how my predictions did. In the Bronx District Attorney race, I predicted a win for current incumbent Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark at 80% of the vote. Election night results are at almost 73%. However, there were absentee ballots distributed throughout the Bronx, as primary day 2,954 were received, with 2,735 valid and scanned. So we will have to see if the numbers go up. And as far as absentee ballots go, they have to be in by July 5th, postmarked by the June 27th primary date, and have to be in by July 5th. I'll have a little further information on this next week here. As far as council districts, I predicted a win for incumbent Kevin Riley with 71% of his two challenges receiving 17%, 12%. It appears that on primary day, Councilman Riley did better than I thought, with 82%, 12% and 6% for his two opponents. Riley received 5,648 votes to 827 and 369, with 16 write-in votes. There were 1,486 absentee ballots, and 588 have been received so far. So, Councilman Riley, congratulations on your winning the primary at probable re-election. In the 14th council district, I predicted a win for incumbent Councilwoman Farina Sanchez with 68% of the vote. On primary night, Councilwoman Sanchez had over 76% of the vote, 2,273 votes, to her opponent's 697 votes, or 23%, with 15 write-in votes. There were 669 absentee ballots sent out, with 231 returned by primary day. Councilwoman Sanchez beat my prediction, and there were only two candidates in this race, so there is no ranked choice voting. Congratulations to Councilwoman Farina Sanchez on winning her primary. When we get to the 13th council district, there was a Democrat, Republican, and a Conservative Party primary. The results, 3 Republican Party candidates also ran on the Conservative Party line. But now for the Democratic primary, my prediction was a win for incumbent Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez with 61% of the vote. I also said her 3 challenges would get 19%, 14%, and 6% of the vote. Primary night results showed incumbent Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez receiving 2,594 votes, or 66% of the vote. Her three opponents received 747 votes, or 19%, 281 votes, 7%, and 195 votes, 5%, with 93 write-in votes that accounted for over 2% of the vote. In all, there were 3,920 votes cast in this Democratic primary for the 13th City Council District, which was supposed to be a very heated race. So it is expected that the incumbent Councilwoman Velazquez should increase the margin of victory when the absentee ballots are counted. There were about 333 absentee ballots that were received by the board. But however, comparing this to her 2021 Democratic primary victory, where three candidates were the same here, the two of her opponents this year were running against her in 2021, there were 9,960 votes cast total, of which Councilwoman Velazquez received over 5,000 votes. So, I mean, if we look at the 2021 race compared to the 2023 race, we saw that this year there is less people going to the polls because there is no race. As in 2021, there was a mayor's race. Last year, there was a governor's race. Next year will be a presidential race. So this year is only going to be, when you go in November, there's only going to be a city council race. The Conservative Party results show Christy Maramato with 55% of the vote, George Havrack with 32% of the vote, and Hasmi Samantha Zerka with 12% of the vote, with 0 write-in votes and 14 absentee ballots. So, and 9 have been received by primary day. So it looks like Christy Maramato will win the Conservative primary outright. I had no prediction in this Conservative primary, because I felt it was too close to call. As we go to the Republican primary, my prediction was for Christy Maramato to win 56% of the vote, and her two challengers to receive 31% and 13% respectively. There were 212 absentee ballots sent out by the Board of Elections, with 90 received by primary day. The primary day results had Christy Maramato ahead with 48% of the vote, George Havrack just under 44% of the vote, and Samantha Zerka with just under 8% of the vote, with 7 write-in votes. The absentee ballots normally go to the party endorsed candidate, which was Christy Maramato. So it looks like Maramato will have to go through ranked choice voting, but will probably wind up the winner of this election. And it looks like on election day, it should be Democrat incumbent Marjorie Velazquez versus Republican conservative candidate Christy Maramato, with the possibility of 1 or 2 independent candidates. Also, unless the Republican Party can come together after a brutal Republican primary, which was the first in over 25 years, it will be another Democratic victory for Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez. Let me close. Let me not forget, though, this is the 5th anniversary of the surprise primary win by Councilwoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez over then longtime Congressman Joe Crowley. I had the privilege of moderating the Parkchester Times 14th council debate in 2017, which some say, because the former congressman did not show up and sent a poorly qualified former city councilwoman as his surrogate, that candidate Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez opened up by saying, "Oh, look, he sent somebody who looks like me. He didn't want to come and face me." It was, a tremendous debate by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, which basically turned that primary around. From that point, I received, letters and emails from all over, from the Washington Post, from New York Times, the Fox News, and other outlets, asking me how the debate went. And it seems that from then on, it was downhill for the former Congressman Joe Crowley in the campaign, with the challenger shaking up the House. A snippet of the 14th congressional debate, hosted by me, about 2 minutes, is from the Parkchester Times debate appeared in the Netflix movie Bring Down the House. I'm going to stop here. We're going to end a little early, unfortunately, because while there is more news, I wanted everybody to have a safe holiday. Last night was the fireworks display from Borough President Vanessa Gibson, from Natalia Fernandez, the state senator, and Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez at the Orchard Beach. I have seen video of the event. It was a lovely fireworks display. Congratulations to Borough President Gibson, State Senator Fernandez, and Councilwoman Velazquez on the fireworks display. So let me end here, and thank you for watching, and have a safe 4th of July. Mr. Producer, can we end the show?
Do you wish your business makes it to the top list of the most searched for business in the US and around the world? Or are you searching for halal compliant services and products online? Then Halal Finder is your online resource directory pointing you to the right places and products. Let's help you explore halal products and services of your choice as we manage many halal businesses across the world. Promote your business with halalfinder.com, the only plug you need to grow. Our services include business listing, digital marketing, branding strategy, SEO campaigns, crowdfunding, and humanitarian support. On our Compassion Corner, we offer crowdfunding of halal ventures and humanitarian services. In this section, you can make or receive donations, start donation campaign, and check existing donation campaigns. And by paying zakat and sadaqah to our Compassion platform on halalfinder.com, you have supported the poor, widows or widowers, orphans, and the likes around the world. Contact us at info@halalfinder.com or call +1 718 822 5555. Get started today at halalfinder.com.
Well, it looks like we're still